Hey guys, it's Lindsay from The Live-In Kitchen. I know I usually spend a lot of time in the kitchen, but one thing you might not know about me is I also love getting outside. So I thought it would be super fun to bring you on a little adventure with me while I share a few recipes with you. I'm here on the rim of the city trail in beautiful La Crosse, Wisconsin today. It is the unofficial first week of spring. It's the first warmer week we've had in a really long time. The snow is starting to melt. But it's a really great time to get out on paved trails because if you're walking out in the woods and you're leaving a track, it can really ruin the trail, and obviously it makes it really difficult to walk on. So I've chosen a paved trail today. You can see there's still a lot of snow and ice around, so I'm gonna be super careful, but I hope you'll come on this adventure with me. And if you enjoy this format, please give this video a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below, and I'd love to share more adventures with you. So the recipes I'm going to be sharing with you today are some of my favorite egg recipes, and I have my favorite soft scrambled eggs, which are super easy to make, as well as a great way to use them in a scrambled egg sandwich. I'm also going to show you how to make Mediterranean eggs, which are super flavorful and make a great breakfast for dinner. And then at the end we have a bonus, which is scrambled tofu. It's very eggy. It's a perfect option if you are vegan or cooking for someone who is. I'm gonna get going on the trail here while we get started on these soft scrambled eggs. These scrambled eggs really couldn't be any easier to make. You're going to start by just cracking some eggs in a bowl. I'm using 2, but you can use however many you like. White eggs, brown eggs, it's all good. No matter what kind of eggs you like to use, just crack them in the bowl, and then we're going to add a little salt and pepper. If you don't like cooking with salt, you can definitely leave that out or just add your other favorite herbs or spices. And we're just gonna whisk that up. I'm using a fork, but you could also use a whisk. And you can see when I zoom in here that I'm just basically drawing a circle along the side of the bowl. So my fork is up at the top and then it comes around and down at the bottom. And I just find that to be the best way to whisk my eggs. We're going to add a little olive oil to a pan and set it over medium-low heat. Once it's warm, add your whisked eggs. And you want to get it stirring pretty quickly. I like to use a soft silicone spatula to stir my scrambled eggs because it helps move them around really well. There are a lot of different ways you can stir if you like a bigger curd or smaller curds. You know, just break it up more if you like it smaller. A lot of times, like you'll see here, I form it into a little more of an omelet shape and keep it together because I like to use it on sandwiches and that makes it easier not to fall out. But just keep it moving. That's what helps keep them soft. If they sit for too long, then they get tough and hard. And you'll see me poke a few holes here and then flip it over, and that's just to allow any runny egg that's still trapped inside to get out and cook. Once they're just cooked, you can remove them from the heat and enjoy them with toast or breakfast potatoes, you know, however you like to serve your eggs in the morning. Definitely a little hot sauce I would enjoy, but these are so soft and easy to make. Okay, I'm definitely making those for lunch when I get home. But in the meantime, I'm still here on the trail, and this is a really great trail to go on with kids because it's so flat and you can push a stroller. Just be sure you watch out towards the end because it does fall off a cliff pretty quick. So you just want to make sure those kids aren't running out to the edge. But it's a really easy trail to take. I love it. There's all these great little offshoots that you can go and explore if you want to really get into the woods and find an adventure. But while I keep going, let's take a look at that scrambled egg sandwich. This scrambled egg sandwich is extremely customizable. You can make it any way you like with whatever you have on hand, but I'm going to show you my favorite way to make it. We're starting again with 2 eggs. I'm just whisking those up in a bowl. And to that, I'm going to add some torn baby spinach. You could use whatever your favorite leafy green is, or if you had other vegetables you wanted to throw in there, definitely go for it. And I'm also adding some salt and pepper to taste, and just whisk that all together until it's combined. The spinach really helps keep the eggs moist. As it cooks, it releases a little moisture, and it makes them nice and soft without being overcooked. Again, we're going to add a little olive oil to a pan and set it over medium-low heat. Once it's warm, you can add your egg mixture and get it stirring. I'm going to try keep this a little bit together instead of breaking it up because it will stay in the sandwich a little better. This sandwich is also great with a fried egg if you prefer fried eggs. I would probably just do one egg in that case. Meanwhile, I have toasted an everything bagel and I'm putting butter on both sides. You can skip the butter, of course, if you are watching your calories or fat or you don't eat dairy. And I'm adding a slice of Kojak cheese to the bottom. On top of that, I'm going to mash half of an avocado. I find that mashing it helps it stay on better than slices. Once you bite into it, sometimes the slices really like to slip out, but mashing it helps keep it a little more together. And if you need help figuring out how to ripen and store avocados, I have a post on my site that I'll link down below. And it's super easy. I always have ripe avocados on hand, and they're so convenient to add to things like this. I'm salting my avocado a little bit, but you really don't need much because the eggs and probably the bagel already have quite a bit of salt on them. So you may just want to taste and adjust later. We're going to slide the eggs right on top of that avocado. And then I like to add a good drizzle of sriracha. You could use whatever hot sauce you prefer, or of course leave that off. And just top that with the other half of the bagel. It's really great to use good quality bagels for this. Certainly you could use whatever bagels you have on hand, but I love a good crunch on the outside and a soft, chewy inside to my bagel. It really adds a lot of texture to the sandwich. That is my reminder to buy more everything bagels. I love that sandwich. It's one of my favorite things to cook when I just don't feel like cooking. Even though it takes a few minutes to make on the stove, it's just so easy and comforting and super filling. Well, here we are at the lookout. You can see Granddad's Bluff behind me, and I love this trail because it offers one of the best views of the marsh in town, which is still covered in ice today, but I think another week and everything will really look different around here. I love just exploring all the different areas in this trail. There's a couple different lookouts you can walk to, and they're always improving the trails and putting up more signs and helping you find your way around. So this next recipe that we're going to make is for Mediterranean eggs. This makes a great breakfast for dinner, and it's just full of flavor. You can use it to make a sandwich. You can eat it on its own. It's really versatile. And I'm really excited to share it with you, so let's dive in. For these Mediterranean eggs, you're going to want either a cast iron skillet or a stainless steel pan. Non-stick pans just do not caramelize onions the same way. It's okay if that's all you have, but it's really going to work better with either cast iron or stainless steel. First, we're going to add some butter and olive oil to our pan. Heat that over medium heat. Once the butter is melted, add your onions. I'm using 4 to 5 small onions. If you only had large onions, you could use about 1.5. And they're just halved and sliced thin. Give that a stir to coat everything in the butter and the oil, and reduce the heat so that they're just barely sizzling. You don't want these onions to cook super fast. This is going to take about an hour to caramelize. And you'll want to come back and stir it every 5 to 10 minutes and just make sure that it's not getting too brown too quickly. These did get a little too brown for me, but it was hard making the video. And you can see they're a nice golden brown color. You want them to be nice and dark and soft. And then we're ready to add some sun-dried tomatoes. You could use dry sun-dried tomatoes or the kind that's packed in oil. Just be sure to drain off the oil before adding it. And we're also adding some garlic. Cook that for another 3 minutes or so until it's nice and fragrant. And I'm just adding a splash of vegetable broth. You could also use water or white wine. This just helps pick up all those caramelized bits from the bottom of the pan. So give it a good stir until that's all cooked off. And then arrange everything in an even layer along the bottom of the pan. You can go ahead and crack your eggs right into the pan. I'm using 6 eggs. You don't want to crowd them too much. You want them to be nice and separate so that they'll cook evenly. And I like to make sure the yolks stay intact so you can get a nice runny yolk if that's what you like. And we're going to go ahead and top the eggs with some crumbled feta cheese. If you don't eat dairy, you could leave the cheese off or use a vegan feta and then just swap the butter at the beginning for a vegan butter. These will cook for about 10 minutes, but watch the eggs carefully in the last few minutes of cooking because the yolks can change quickly. You can check the doneness of the yolks just by giving the pan a little jiggle. The yolks will move a bit if they're still runny, and if they're firm, they won't move at all. I like to top the finished eggs with a little chopped fresh parsley and serve it with some crusty bread like a sandwich. They are so full of flavor and so delicious. I really think you're gonna like this one. I wanted to walk down the trail a little more and try to get to that point over there, but as you can see, it's still a little too muddy, so I'm gonna turn back. But if you decide to come off on some of the side trails here, just make sure you watch your step. There are a lot of exposed tree roots and rocks and things, so it becomes much less stroller friendly once you leave the main trail. This last recipe that I want to share with you is for not quite an egg recipe, but it does taste a lot like eggs. My scrambled tofu is the easiest tofu recipe you will ever make. You don't need to press it or anything. It's super flavorful and easy to make. These are great with breakfast potatoes or in a burrito, and it's a wonderful option to have at a brunch if you have somebody coming who maybe you're not sure if they eat eggs or not, or they're vegan. So it's just nice to have something for everybody. So let's dive in and see how to make that while I head back to the car. If you haven't had scrambled tofu before, it really does taste a lot like eggs. To get started, we're going to add a little olive oil to a pan and set it over medium heat. Once it's warm, you're going to add your block of tofu. You can just grab it right out of the box. You don't need to press it. I recommend using extra firm tofu for this. I know when I was first getting started with scrambled tofu, I thought that a softer tofu would be a better idea, but it really just disintegrates. So stick with extra firm and just break it up with your utensil as it starts to cook. You're going to let that cook for 3 to 5 minutes, and meanwhile, you can measure out your almond milk in a glass measuring cup. To that, we're going to add our spices. I'm using nutritional yeast, as well as turmeric, garlic powder, black pepper, and black salt. Black salt is a little harder to find. I purchased mine on Amazon, but you may be able to find it at your regular grocery store or if you have any Asian markets near you. It smells a little bit like sulfur, which is a little bit eggy, and it really helps give the scrambled tofu that eggy taste. If you don't want to purchase it or you can't find it, it's definitely okay to make this without it, but it will not taste as eggy. Get that all whisked together, and then you're going to pour it over the tofu. Give that a good stir, and you're going to let it cook for another 3 to 5 minutes or until it's reached your desired consistency. If you want your scrambled tofu to be more moist, you can definitely add more almond milk. If you want it more dry, just let it cook off. And you can see it's starting to really look like eggs. The turmeric and the nutritional yeast really help add to the color here. At this point, you can taste it and adjust the seasonings, if you want more nutritional yeast or black salt. And then you're ready to serve. I like serving mine with some breakfast potatoes. It's great with salsa and avocado. It has that nice soft egg texture, and the black salt really helps give it that eggy flavor. And I'll be sure to link that black salt in the description box down below. We made it back. That was a nice easy hike on a slightly chilly spring day, and I'm ready to head back to the kitchen and whip up some eggs. I hope this video encouraged you to get outside and find an adventure and try a few new to you egg recipes. If you enjoyed this video, again, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to take you on more adventures with me. Other than that, I will see you back in the kitchen with some soft scrambled eggs. We're back in the kitchen. I've got my scrambled eggs and I'm ready to eat my lunch. All of the recipes I shared with you today are linked down below and they're already live on my website, so you can jump over and get started making whichever one looks best to you. Thanks so much for joining me here today. If you love this format, again, please give it a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll be back next time with even more delicious vegetarian recipes. See you later.